And I got my talking points here. And you can feel free to use, one second, let me close my door. You can please feel free to use the chat button and ask me any question in chat. And I will get started here. And hopefully my intent, not hopefully, but my intent is just to share some ideas with you about the seriousness of using LinkedIn as a business tool, with the goal being to encourage you to start doing just that, using LinkedIn as a business tool. So I started Burriss Consulting, I went official back in late 2010, and with the goal to to teach in LinkedIn as a business tool. I've studied Sandler sales training, which is integral to what I teach today. And I'm also a Dale Carnegie, what's referred to as a graduate coach. And Dale Carnegie principles are integral to what I teach today. I'm a DDI leadership trainer. So my leadership training has been also, all of this has been very integral to me growing into a social media strategist, predominantly focused on LinkedIn. I am a certified social media strategist, which I studied that for a few years. I'm also a certified career coach, a Toastmaster, and I've been around. I'm also the author of a couple of books on Amazon, a bunch of ebooks, 650 YouTube videos, almost 5,100 core answers. Again, all focused on networking and using LinkedIn as a business tool. I share that to say I eat, drink, and sleep LinkedIn as a business tool. And all of my previous education experiences have helped me to become better at it. So why should we be using LinkedIn as a business tool? Well, first and foremost, it's the largest professional networking site in the galaxy, as far as I know. In the world, I do know. 720 million LinkedIn members on there today, roughly 720 million. 2 new LinkedIn members still every second, 2 new LinkedIn members. 56 some million companies listed on LinkedIn. About 45 million have very well-built or somewhat well-built LinkedIn profiles. 111,000 schools. Now, here's a stat that's really important. Why should we use LinkedIn as a business tool? Because 25% of all the members get on at least every other week. That number is phenomenal, especially when you look at back in late 2019, it was 25% of the members got on once a month. So there's double the activity. Another reason why we should use LinkedIn as a business tool is because the profiles, your personal LinkedIn profile is indexed by Google. So do a Google search for LinkedIn trainer. Just if someone want to do this for me, do a Google search for LinkedIn trainer, and hopefully my LinkedIn profile will show up somewhere on the first page, if not near the top of the first page. And that's important to me, and it should be important to you for your LinkedIn profile to be found by others. Your network can create connections to not only your target audience, but their influencers. And these connections are great portals or entry points to business conversations if you are doing it right. Relevant engagement with content and on content is a great way to build your professional brand and reputation on LinkedIn. LinkedIn search is a powerful research tool, even though recently there's been a change to it that kind of upsets me, but it still is a very powerful research tool. Sales Navigator, if you're really deliberate about prospecting, then LinkedIn Sales Navigator is even more powerful of a search tool. And, I don't cold call anybody, but you once you start using LinkedIn purposefully and networking purposefully, you won't need to cold call anybody because you can get introduced to the people you want to get to. So here's something else to think about when you're considering using LinkedIn as a business tool, and that is to pay attention to the KPIs. There's a thing called your social selling index. And if you don't know what that is, hit me up in chat and I'll give you the link to it. But your social selling index is a measure that LinkedIn has created. Predominantly, it's used as a marketing tool to get people to use Sales Navigator. But it measures 4 things. It measures your professional brand. How well built is your LinkedIn profile? It measures are you connecting with the right people? How focused are you with networking and connecting on LinkedIn relevant to who you say you are in your profile? Engaging with insights. What kind of content are you sharing and engaging on? Again, relevant to who you say you are on your profile. And the last number is building relationships. How deeply and broadly are you interconnecting with the people in your network? It's one thing to have a single connection in a corporation, or even a few connections in a corporation. It's something different and more powerful to have 4 or 5 connections in those companies, and even more powerful when you know 10 or 15 people who know the people in those companies. So this is all about breadth and depth of your networking. Another KPI is, set of KPIs is who's viewed your LinkedIn profile. So when I put this together, I was at almost 2,300 people viewed my profile in a 90-day period. 92 people viewed my last article, and I showed up in 505 searches. These numbers are important when you use them the right way. Another one is your network. How big is your network? Now, it's not, for me, my perspective is really not how big it is, but how rich is it? So I've got a huge LinkedIn network. I've got a way far bigger number of followers, but I know in some way or another, each one of those connections, and I've engaged with every single one of them in some way or another. And that's important. Then there's the follower count. How many people are following you on LinkedIn? And that's important to pay attention to as well. Who are your followers and why are they following you? And then the most important metric is how many conversations, business conversations, have you had as a result of your LinkedIn activities? People time and over again say this: I really love what I'm doing with LinkedIn. I'm really excited about what I'm doing with LinkedIn. I'm really excited about the number of people viewing my content, et cetera, et cetera. And I often come out with this really blunt question. That's great. How many business conversations have you had because of the activity you do on LinkedIn? That's the ultimate measure. So if you're going to use LinkedIn purposefully, you've got to get focused, or you can do like some do and keep throwing spaghetti at the wall. So look, you got to think about it this way. When we studied sales and marketing, we were taught that everyone is not your ideal client. It's not, that's fact. Everyone is not your ideal client. This applies to LinkedIn as well. All LinkedIn members are not your target audience. You have to be clear as to who is your target audience in order to get value out of LinkedIn. So you know who you're talking to. And when you're clear about who the target audience is, it typically will be the human in the role, in the company, in an industry, and sometimes in a region. That's clarity. You can pinpoint who that human is very deliberately. There's no misunderstanding for you and for you in your actions using LinkedIn. Now, additionally, you also need to know who are the influencers. Who are the people that you know or could get to know who can introduce you to your target audience? That's equally just as important. Then, as you're building your LinkedIn profile and you're creating content, et cetera, you got to think of what are the words that you are using in that all that messaging. You need to get clear on the keywords and phrases that your target audience uses when they're discussing or looking for your services, your products, your widgets. The clearer you are on the right keywords that they use, the more successful you're going to be with your messaging, with your content, with your and your profile. And then you got to find ways to use these words throughout all the different areas on LinkedIn, so that you can, again, very purposely be using the words that when your target audience reads them, they're going to go, oh yes, this guy gets me. Marketing 101, know who your target audience is and know what are the keywords that are important to them. So one of the first things you have to do when you get serious about using LinkedIn is you have to build a professional LinkedIn profile. And for me, a professional LinkedIn profile is not your resume. It's not. Your resume is really nothing more than your ongoing obituary. Your LinkedIn profile must be a professional brochure. So you're going to use the keywords that are important, and you're going to tell the stories about what you can do, have done, accomplished, successes, et cetera, throughout all your content. You're going to spell check it. You can do a grammar check on it so you don't show up on my yearly Manger report, or soon I'm going to start a pubic relations report. You need to understand what the content is to include in your LinkedIn profile. And it all must be relevant to who you are and what you do today. And again, speaking clearly to your target audience, using their words and speaking to them first person. This is not a PR piece. This is you speaking through your brochure to your target audience. So as you're building your professional LinkedIn profile, you're minimizing distractions from the irrelevant content of the past. You're showing the viewer a little bit about who you are as a human or as a person. You're learning what sections of your LinkedIn profile are important to use. You need to use all that are relevant. You must have a profile picture. You must have up-to-date contact information. This is vital. And you're telling your target audience what you do for them, not pitching your widgets. These are the things that I coach. These are steps, and a few of the steps that I teach people when I'm teaching my clients how to build a professional profile, when I'm guiding them through how to build a professional profile, so that they're building it better than their competition. Again, any questions, drop them in the chat box and I'll pay attention to them. So as you're building your LinkedIn profile, then you'll start networking. I discovered years ago that my network, which includes my LinkedIn connections, everybody I've met in life, my quote unquote Rolodex of names and phone numbers and email addresses, probably also includes my Facebook connections, my Twitter connections, my Quora, my YouTube followers, my blog followers. All the people in my life from lots of different spaces make up my network. And my network has become my most important asset in my life. Think about that for a minute. Everything that we achieve through life, for the most part, comes through our networks. The cars we buy, the insurance companies we hire, the jobs we get, the people we meet in our lives, our friends, our spouses, the home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All this comes in many different ways through our network. So the better we build our network, the more valuable it's going to be to us. And you think this way as well in regards to your LinkedIn network. Focus on growing it towards their target audience and their influencers, and it'll be worth more to you than just simply connecting with every Tom, Dick, and Harry on LinkedIn. By the way, it's called networking for mutual benefit. So it also means you need to be willing to connect with people you can help, and not just people who can help you. That's really important. And the book Networking for Mutual Benefits on Amazon. So when you're purposefully networking, you're creating more value. You're finding the people you want to connect with or get into a conversation with. And then you're looking for ways to get introduced to them, which is really easy to do as you grow your LinkedIn network in deliberate ways. Another tactic that I teach in my classes and in my webinar programs is to bump into your target audience through their content. Another great way to strike up a conversation with someone you want to connect with. And the most important thing you can do when you do connect with someone is to immediately engage with them. And most people don't know how to do this. There's tactics to doing that create the greatest possible value. And this is not about collecting a huge bucket of business cards. It's about connecting with people in meaningful ways. And don't forget, as you're networking, people don't care what you know until they know you care. And that's not hard to do. It's relatively easy to do. So as you're building your profile and you're building your network, two really deliberate activities that I teach people how to do through my webinar programs and my one-on-one coaching. As you're doing that, you start the social engagement and the social sharing steps. This is what I sometimes call the magic sauce. This is where the real magic happens. And most people don't invest time in this. They just connect and start barfing out their corporate content. But the real value is in the social engagement. You ever been to a networking event where someone shows up with a box of business cards and hands out their business cards, and then when they're empty, the box is empty, they leave? You ever been to a networking event where someone walks into the room and starts handing out brochures? I have. I remember a networking event where someone literally walked up behind me and slid a brochure into my hand from behind me. Don't be this person. What you want to do is look for ways to get into meaningful conversations with your target audience and your influencers. You want to look for ways to have real conversations with them about them. And the more you make the conversation about them, the more likely they're going to turn it around and say, tell me about you. And you want to show the people you're engaging with that you're not a robot. You're not Autotron. You're a real human being. And this is what social engagement is all about. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat and I'll answer questions while I go through this. Human to human engagement. That's where the magic happens. A meaningful comment, which by the way is 6 words or more. Sharing content that's relevant to your target audience. Often I call it true, TRUHE, transparent, relevant, useful, honest, and engaging content. This is how we build a brand. And another way to protect your brand is to never do, say, or engage in ways you don't want to be seen, heard, or perceived of in life. Mac, you can't imagine the number of times I've hit backspace or delete or escape when I was typing something because I realized I'm about ready to, diminish my brand if I say that. And if you see content on LinkedIn that you do not believe is relevant to your brand, or that could potentially diminish your brand or destroy your brand, slide down past it as quickly as possible. Never touch it. Furthermore, human-to-human engagement also means minimize the use of those canned responses. That really is not what a human does. So I did some research recently, a couple months ago. And I surveyed, I think I hit 100 people, and 50% of the LinkedIn members, 50% of the people said, once they view your profile for the first time, they want to then look at your company page. Think about that. Roughly 50% said once they look at your profile, they want to see your company page. So the big question is this: what does your LinkedIn profile say? And then what does your LinkedIn company page say? It's important to consider these ideas. So before I open up for Q&A, and any questions you have, I'm happy to answer them. And if you want me to look at your profile and ask a question specifically about your profile, I'm happy to do that as well. Before we go into that, I just want to share with you. This is an introduction to a program I have where I go way deeper to help you build your LinkedIn profile, where I help you get focused on your target audience, where I help you choose the right words, where I help you put together the best practices for you to network, for you to have social conversations, for you to have social sharing, so that you can start getting value out of LinkedIn. Now, this program there's 2 sessions that are group sessions. And then when we throughout all that, you'll get the ebooks that I have on how to build a LinkedIn profile, how to build your LinkedIn network, how to build your brand using LinkedIn. And there's a add-on with 20 questions about LinkedIn that have the answers you need. And then furthermore, everyone who signs up for this not only gets those 2 sessions, but they get a free one-on-one session where you get a private coaching session with me. It's called Master LinkedIn as a Business Tool. And everyone who shows up gets a discounted rate so that you can get on this and start mastering LinkedIn as a business tool for yourself. So you can start creating real value using LinkedIn. So I'll send you the link to it after this session. Any questions, feel free to ask me. But the value of this is my one-on-one coaching is almost $800 for a one-on-one coaching. This is a quarter of that. It's like $250. Really great value if you want to really master using LinkedIn as a business tool. So at this point, what questions do you have? This is where I answer any and all questions you have about using LinkedIn as a business tool, so I can help you start creating value with it. How big is your headline? That's the question I got. So your LinkedIn headline is 220 characters. Now you'll see that I used about 220 characters here. But you've got to know what words to put there to create the greatest value. And you also got to be very careful when you're adding a new or updating an experience section that you uncheck that checkbox so that it doesn't trash it. Should you show your LinkedIn connections to your LinkedIn connections? Now, my answer is yes. Everybody who connects with me can see all of my LinkedIn connections. However, they really can't see all of it because really the LinkedIn algorithm is designed that for most people, when they start looking, it's going to drive it down to a small number. So it's going to drive it down. I believe that for most people, they're going to see less than 1,000. So, and someone else also gets asked this question is, aren't you afraid of showing your LinkedIn connections to other people? Well, I'm not, a couple of reasons. One is only my first level connections can see my connections. Secondly, people always worry about someone stealing, my clients. Well, I'm connected to way more than just my clients. So they don't know who I'm doing business with here. And if I'm doing my clients well, if I'm serving them appropriately, then I don't have to worry about someone stealing my clients because they can see who I'm connected with on LinkedIn. LinkedIn articles. So how do you write a LinkedIn article? Here we go. So if you want to share content, there's lots of ways to share content. You can drop a photo, a video, you can do an event. If I click here, you also see I can celebrate an occasion. I can share that you're hiring, find an expert, create a poll. These are all the different pieces you can do. I can share a document as well. But additionally, I can write an article. This is writing a LinkedIn article. And you can write an article for your personal profile as well as for, this is interesting, where's my company page? As well as for your company page. I don't see my primary company page. So when you write an article, it is, it's full blog post, full headline, full banner, or, feature image. You got full writing capability here with images, videos, slides, links. The only link you can't do is an email address. And so it's a full featured blogging tool where you have, your H1, H2, H3. Where is it? I got to type something first. So you have, full, come on, full H1, H2, that's something's broke there. So it really is a full featured blogging tool. It's a great way to share content. And if you share enough content through LinkedIn articles, then you can eventually get what's called LinkedIn newsletters. So then LinkedIn will start emailing your newsletter subscribers every time you write a new article. So it's a great way to, again, share content and articles and stories that you want to share with your target audience. Any other questions? Drop them in the chat box and I'm happy to answer them. How do I manage my LinkedIn connections? So under my network, you'll see that, come on. So here's invitations I received. Well, first of all, I don't manage them from here. I always go to see all and I manage them from here. And you'll also see that I only have 5 pending invites. I manage this very deliberately. I do not let these pile up. So I execute upon them, and I have processes that I teach in my webinar series and in my one-on-one coaching on what are the processes to execute and manage these so that they don't become overwhelming. But again, I'm going to show you one more time. I manage from my network, see all. And then if I get an invite from someone and they don't tell me who they are or why they want to connect, which these 4 did not, then I message them. And in my webinar programs and in my training, I can teach you what kind of words to use to get the response that you need to get to make a decision whether or not I accept or I ignore this invite. What other questions do you have that I can help you with? So Sales Navigator, should I use Sales Navigator? I love Sales Navigator, but I'm pretty purposeful about my prospecting activity. So in Sales Navigator, we have the ability to only pay attention to the companies and the individuals that we have saved to pay attention to. It does not pay attention to all of our LinkedIn connections by no means. You actually can only save, I think it's 1,500 leads. They refer to as a LinkedIn person that you saved in Sales Navigator as a lead. And so, I pay attention very purposely. I use Sales Navigator for prospecting because it's a very powerful search tools. And I believe that LinkedIn saved search has just gone away. But Sales Navigator does have saved searches where it creates a search alert and it'll bring up new search results on a weekly basis or however you set them up so that you can go look at those new results and make decisions about what you want to do with those. So I like Sales Navigator, but I tell people do not use Sales Navigator unless or pay for it unless you're going to use it every week on a regular basis. Integrate it into your processes, which is another thing that I teach in my training on LinkedIn. Any other questions? So if you don't have any other questions, I will send you my slide deck. I'll send you the link to the Master LinkedIn as a Business Tool course, again, which is 2 group webinars and then all the ebooks and then I follow up with schedule on your availability, a personal one-on-one coaching session. So thank you very much for letting me share with you today. Thanks for attending. And again, if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me later on through LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Quora. And again, thank you for showing up. Have a fantastic day. Thank you very much.